Jeff Rice and Marilyn Cooper resist the composition tradition of the solitary author and instead ask the discipline to think of a new metaphor. Cooper's new metaphor is ecology, while Rice uses the metaphor of the network. Both the ecological and the network model of writing work against fixed and static compositions. Cooper wants writing to be a dynamic and interactive system. For Rice, emergence or growth is vital to the metaphor of writing. Whether it is called dynamic or interactive or emergent or growth, both authors seek a writing that involves movement, because in order to work against fixity, we must move. Can a text really move or grow or deteriorate? Is it possible to actually work against fixity while writing exists on a page? Like Cooper and Rice, I call for a new metaphor as well. However, I call for a new metaphor for composition and not just writing, because writing alone is too limited to truly work against the tradition of fixity. In order for a piece to interact in a network or system, it must be what I am calling an emergent composition. An emergent composition is inextricably linked to the environment in which it exists, composed by the tools as well as the author, resists linearity, resists fixity by having an element of movement, growth, or degeneration, making it able to exist in space and time, engages the writer in the social act of connecting, and is not limited to writing alone. An example of the type of emergent composition I am proposing is Robert Smithson's earthwork, The Spiral Jetty. Like Rice and Cooper, Smithson was also working against fixity and static compositions. He viewed the world as his museum and composed outdoors where he could allow the elements to interact and compose his art as well as himself. The jetty was composed on Roswell Point on the Great Salt Lake in Utah in 1970. It continues to be composed today by time and human interaction. The jetty spends years underwater, often becomes covered in white salt crystals, is sometimes surrounded by dry land due to drought, and will continue to change in unpredictable ways over time. This was Smithson's intention with the work. Jack Flam writes that Smithson's work involves resistance to a single time and place, even to a single physical form. Like Smithson views the world as his museum, composition needs to view the world as text and move away from the confines of the page. The emergent composition model forces writers to interact with their environment and incorporate movement into their composing, rather than allowing writers to continue to rely on the insufficient page.